Playboy of the Western World is a ridiculous play by John Millington Synge set in Ireland's countryside in West County Mayo, about a man, Christy, who kills his father and then tries to hide in a house to seek refuge, wherein he falls in love with the daughter of the house and changes phenomenally. The play is one of the key literary icons of the Irish revival and famed for its use of Hiberno English, or basically just Irish English with all its slang and method of speaking. After killing his father, Christy arrives at Michael Flaherty's tavern where he seeks lodging while escaping the police. He understands that the killing of his father, patricide, is the greatest crime anywhere, and so he is initially terrified and cowardly. However, after giving an invigorating and dramatized version of his tale, where he details how he struck his father in the head with a loy, which is like an Irish spear, he suddenly becomes popular in the neighborhood, particularly after cleaning himself with help from Pegeen, the daughter of the house, and a change of clean clothes. His romantic tongue and his modest looks make the local ladies fall in love with him, as well as Pegeen, who was initially engaged to Sean by her father. Sean is a weak and infirm man who is not particularly actionable. He's unromantic and weak in the face of conflict, as shown by his intimidation by the men in the tavern, as well as Christie's arrival. Christie receives gifts from the local girls and impresses them in a donkey race, where he comes first despite it being the slowest animal. He is shown to be this suave, manly gentleman after his apparent murder of his father, and there is a sense that the love for him is derived not in spite of his father's murder, but because of it. He is seen by Pegeen and all the other girls as a playboy of the Western world, an exciting foreign force from outside of this small domain of the tavern and the nearby county. Sean, scared of Christie's advances against his fiancée, strikes a deal with Widow Quinn, who had previously caused the death of her husband, to offer a deal of riches in return for her seduction of Christie. She accepts with alacrity and goes on to try and convince Christie to fall in love with her. However, by now it is too late, and Christie is head over heels for Pegeen, and her efforts are strenuous despite numerous incentives to move to her house. At this point, it was almost easy to forget that Christie had initially only come seeking a retreat from his crime, with the poor beggar now making very picky choices. A spanner is thrown into the works upon the menacing return of Christie's father, who apparently circumvents death. He comes in tattered clothes, covered in blood, looking like a walking corpse. He comes back looking for his son, who he is understandably mad at for attempting to kill him, and tries to get his revenge, although he is initially misdirected by Widow Quinn, still trying to seduce Christie in order to get a reward from Sean. Christie, however, in a fit of love, confesses everything he feels to Pegeen, and the two resolve to get married that day. Michael Flaherty has no choice, seeing the two starstruck lovers, but to marry them on their spot, citing Christie's boldness and manliness of killing his father as desirable traits he might pass on to their offspring, to the great disdain of Sean, who he essentially describes as a weak, bumbling imbecile. After he comes back from searching the hills in the direction that Widow Quinn suggested, he comes to Christie again and finds him home. The two get into a brawl as Christie attempts to finish what he's done with the lawyer. Upon his father's apparent second death, as Christie kills him again off stage, although Christie believes he will be met with the same heraldry as before, everyone in the tavern instead turns on him, not wanting to become implicated by the crime. Michael Flaherty makes a noose to attempt to strangle him to death, and the rest try to restrain him. The fight ensues until eventually, in a comedic twist, Christie's father seemingly revives from the dead a third time and walks in to find Christie like a parent picking up their child from school, with Christie asking the hilarious question of if he has to kill him a third time. While previously his father had been extremely critical of Christie's cowardice and his womanish disposition, at the end of the book they make up and then leave the tavern together, coming and leaving the tavern like a giant wind sweeping in and then is gone. Pegeen finishes the play with a sigh, lamenting, saying that her playboy, Christie, has gone and will never come back. She slaps Sean and tells him to go away, and is disappointed in the realization that this exciting, albeit fleeting chapter of her life has come to a conclusion.